Hello, and welcome to another week of Get Your House in Order. I'm your host, Bren Sharif. The information provided on this podcast is not intended to be legal advice, but to inform you of the importance of getting your house in order by making a plan that will establish your legacy for the protection of you and your family. If you need any help in any area that we discuss during this podcast, you can give me a call at 773-817-0601. We encourage you to contact a licensed professional of your choice who can speak to your individual situation. And on today's show, we will be talking about things that you should know that your insurance agent knows. And we have with us this morning or this afternoon, Chaka Atwater. Chaka Atwater is the owner of a farmer's insurance agency. And she has many years of experience, but more than years of experience, Chaka is a compassionate person that understands and identifies things that maybe you may not even know that you need to know. That's why it's important that when you do make a selection of an insurance agent, that you know that they have your best interest at heart. Good afternoon, Chaka, and how are you this afternoon?
I'm good. How are you, Miss
Hey, I'm doing well and getting better now that I've got you here sitting beside me. Chaka is actually my boss. I had an agreement with her agency in order to do insurance. So, as I guess you're my ex-boss now. Chaka, we have talked oftentimes about things that in our black community, that have become so prevalent in our understanding and in our culture that hurt us. And one of those things is what you don't know can't hurt you. That is an expression that's very pervasive in our community. But we know in the insurance agency or in the insurance industry that what we don't know does hurt us. Is that something that you can agree to?
I definitely agree with that. Definitely. There's in the book, my people perish for lack of knowledge, but the other part is because they reject the knowledge. So I hope that everyone receives this well.
And I'm believing, pray, as I say, I'm prayerfully in that position that you are, where they will receive this information. And everyone has a life, but everyone doesn't have life insurance. What are some of the things in life insurance that they don't know? Perhaps giving a short synopsis of what types of life insurance there are and whether or not they own the policy or whether or not they have it with their employer. Give us some insight as to things that people should know about those.
Okay, things. One of the things is a lot of people I talk to, they're like, I have life insurance and I have it on the job. Okay, well, how long do you think that you're going to be on that job? A lot of times the insurance is not portable. So that's something, meaning you cannot take it with you. So then you can leave that job and you may be 20, 30 years older than when you started that policy. Now you're looking for a policy at 60 years old or 55, and the price of insurance is expensive. Every year that you age, the price goes up. So, and then God forbid you have health issues, then that's a whole nother problem. Then you can't get the amount that you want. So those are one of the things I want to put out there for our people to know.
So the Billie Holiday, God bless the child that has her own, is something that is in our culture that we should think about as it comes to insurance. The other type of concern that I have with life insurance, you were saying that as you get older and you have health issues, you can be rated up, which will increase your premium. But if you're using insurance, life insurance, how can it be used as a tool to help you going forward when you own your policy? What is the best type of policy to own? And what stages of life should you consider those different types?
I would say right now, it depends on your situation. I think, so term, the benefit of term is, I think if you just can't afford it and you want to have something, definitely get term. It's just what it sounds like, 10, 20, or 30 years. The benefit for that is it's a mortgage protector. So if you have a 30-year loan on your home and you're married, term would be good to pay off the house if something happens. I love the permanent policies, which are whole life, universal index, universal life. So those policies are great. If you need proof of income, you can use that for that. Retirement, your new car, you can use it as your own bank. You can borrow from it. I really like those policies. And if you don't borrow from it, then the premium can stay the same versus the term. So if you got sick or anything, they would still honor your policy. If your policy was $40 a month, that's what your policy would be when you're 65, 70.
So, and these conditions that can be placed on these contracts, and all insurance policies are what? Contracts.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they are
Absolutely.
contracts. They spell out what the terms and conditions are for what you have to do. And I heard you say that permanent life insurance. And I want to clear this up. Permanent is only if you pay the premium. If you don't pay the premium, it is not permanent. But what she is speaking of is the premium being a permanent premium. Is that correct? That it will stay the same during your contract?
It is. And the one thing versus whole versus universal, I don't know with other companies, but with the company I work for, Farmers, I like it for our people because life is up and down. So if you miss a couple payments and you've had your universal policy or index universal policy for a while, it will not just cancel out. It will not just cancel out. So I really, really like that. If you miss 30 days, 60 days, depending on how much money you have into it, I mean, it's not going to cancel out.
And that's the key. What you have invested in it, they use the money that has been accrued, that has grown in your policy to create a cash value. They use that cash value that your policy has created to pay your premiums, that when you have a little bump in the road, it will do that. The other things as it relates to life insurance, particularly those for people that have their policies on their job, give some insight on what mothers or single family or single parent families, where mothers on the job will go and put their children as beneficiaries. Can you tell me, is that to their advantage or to their disadvantage to put their children as beneficiaries on their life insurance policy?
If they're not 18, it's going to be a lot of, it's going to be expensive for them to get an attorney and all that. So the best thing to do is to put it in a trust or someone you trust if they're underage. If they're 7 years old, I think that would be best. But I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah.
So, but I tell my clients, if they're underage, get someone you trust or put it into a trust.
And what if they do not give, what the outcome of that would be?
So you would know that better than me.
Okay.
She's the one with the experience. She's just being nice and asking these questions.
Okay. What will happen if a person has a beneficiary that is under 18 here in the state of Illinois? That underage child, those assets, the money from that insurance policy cannot go to that child. And that's what the mother and or father would really want. However, it goes to the next of kin. When they find out that that is a child that's underage, it then goes to the next of kin to that child. That is generally the father or their mother. And the loving parent that put their child as a beneficiary, most of the time, that is not who they would like to be the beneficiary of that. And there are really no provisions that say what that person has to do with that money. There's no trust agreement, as Chaka said. If you have it, you put it in a trust. There are certain requirements that have to be met, and so the money is there for the child when that child gets of age, or even to use for their maintenance and upkeep until they reach that age of majority and can fend for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So,
we can add something
yes.
to that. The one thing I do want to add when I talk to parents, if you have a good relationship with the father or mother of your child, please add them as your beneficiary, because God forbid something happened to you, you want to make sure that your child is okay. Or if that's not the person you trust, please put someone's name on there that you trust that's going to take care of your baby the way that you want them to.
Excellent advice. And sometimes that's the parent of the person that's insured, because that's where the child or children often go to the parent of the one that makes their transition. So, good information. The other type of insurance, and it is, I say folks don't do what they don't have to unless they gotta. And in Illinois, you gotta have, excuse ebonics, you've got to have auto insurance, liability insurance. Tell us a little bit about what many of your clients come in. What are the two things that they often ask?
So one of the things is they ask, so can I have full coverage? And we think that full coverage is a one price, one size fit all. Like she said earlier, insurance is just a contract. So there are different levels, okay? The state requires you to have $25,000. The next level is $50,000, then it's $100,000. And then we have an umbrella, for $1 million or $2 million. So most people have $25,000, and you think, oh, that's full coverage. No, that's $25,000. So if you total out a new Mercedes that's $80,000 or $100,000, they're going to be suing you because you do not have enough coverage. So if you have a home, you want to protect your assets, because you definitely ride with your assets on the hood of your car.
Oh, I hear
I got that one from Miss Brenda. I got to give her props.
Yes, true.
Yes. So oftentimes we think of full coverage, and the way that full coverage comes into play. Full coverage is a term that's used in the industry when you have both liability and comprehensive. That means that you cover someone that you could be liable for, and you cover your own vehicle. That's where the term full coverage comes from, because generally in auto insurance, if you've paid for your car, are you required to have full coverage if you've paid for your car? If your car is paid for?
No. And I know a lot of people have relationships with dealers, and a lot of people, when they pay cash, they just drive off with no insurance, not even liability. So I just think that that's irresponsible, because you're not even protecting your investment. You just paid $10,000 for a car, and you're not even protecting yourself or the investment. And one thing I want to say is, I'm a Christian. I don't know if a lot of people that's listening are, but I am. And I think that as a Christian, you should think about the other person. So I see people that don't want any insurance. If you hit someone and you hurt them, don't you want to be able to give them something? Or if you hurt their car, we really need to see it that way and not be selfish, because that's very selfish to not even want to have liability. And I have to explain this to women and men 50, 60 years old, just like that, just to help them to understand you need to care about the next person, because if somebody hurts you or hits your new car, you want them to have insurance. And go ahead.
So the golden rule applies here. Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. I don't know how many times, and maybe you have had that in your experience also. yeah, I had an accident and they didn't have insurance. So, hey, as they say, when you hear it, do it.
And I think sometimes people have just gotten into situations where the other person didn't have insurance, you didn't have insurance, so they let you go. But if you hurt somebody's car who has a major company, they're going to come after you. They're going to take care of that person who car you hit, but then they're going to come after you.
And I shared with you a cousin that I had that came to my brother and I. My brother also was in the insurance industry. And what is one of the first things out of your insurance, your car insurance seeker's mouth? I want what?
You tell me.
Okay.
Tell me.
I want the lowest price, the cheapest price that you can get me insured. Not a good idea. You don't buy insurance for price. You buy insurance for protection. Chaka, have you ever had anyone said, oh, I had the lowest price premium, and I'm so glad I had an accident, and now you got to find the people that are going to be in customer service. You understand? These are things that we don't think about. You have insurance for protection. You get an agent that you can trust so that they can guide you through the process when you have a claim or a potential claim. Another word of caution. When you have an agent, know your agent. Do not call the insurance company first if you think you have a claim. Is this correct?
Yes. It's a couple of my clients, I wish they would have called me first so I can assess, the damage or coverage and see, is it worth it? Is it worth you putting in a claim? Because it's going to come back to bite you because now you have a claim. So, and I think that's important with any business, anybody you do business with. Please listen to their spirit, listen to their heart. Because if they're about some money, they're going to treat you like that. But if they care about you, then they're going to help you come up with the best solution for you.
Well, I think that those are words. I pray that these are going into your heart, and so that you will be moved to be able to establish a personal relationship with your agent. These internet connections that you have, get insurance today, those things do not establish relationships. Relationships are, and I know in our community we say, it's not on what you know, but who you know. And when you know your insurance agent and your insurance agent says it's so, it is so. Would you agree?
Absolutely. I think the relationship with the people that you do business with is very important. Very important to have a great relationship with them. Because even, now that I have claims, I have my first death claim, I was happy to be on the other end of the phone and being able to comfort them and let them know to be absent from the body is present with the Lord. And I said, whoever answers the phone, who works for me, I want them to really have that heart. Don't rush them off the phone. Wherever they're at, if they need to pray or whatever. And I know that may seem like, that's too much. Who cares? We're all here for each other, and as an agent, you're supposed to be there in their time of need.
And that is a wonderful philosophy that you had. That was one of the things that attracted me to your agency, is that you had a caring and sharing. You provided information, which is the education. When you know better, you do better. And all that get understanding. So I love that about your agency, and I'm glad that it is still going on. Mm-hmm. Is there a way that people may be able to get in contact with you?
Yes, please. My phone number is 312-248-5745. That's 312-248-5745. And my name is Chaka.
Chaka Atwater. It has been a pleasure having you here with us, Chaka. Do you have any parting words that you'd like to share? Those things that you would like the people to take away from this?
Yes. First of all, thank you for having me. I really appreciate that.
Thank
I
you.
want to say one of your words, a couple of your words. If you see a need, feel it. And that's how we get connected. And I want people to engage with the word and just know, like you say, it's already all right. You may be going through something, but it does not last forever. There's still hope in the Lord. And pray without ceasing. That's what I want to leave with everyone. Pray without ceasing. And shalom, which is completion with everything, completing everything, peace, wholeness, wellness, health.
Thank you very much. We have had owner of a farmer's agency, Chaka Atwater, as our guest today, giving you an insight into things that you don't know that may help your consciousness as well as your bottom line grow. Until next week, this is Bren Sharif. Get your house in order.
Remember to make plans to join us again next week for Conversations with the Citizen, the place where real news can be heard.